Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life. Oh, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Starbase 1552 Comics. We sell everything a collector would want. Comics, Funkos, action figures, and so many more. A real American comic book shop. We are online only. Starbase 1552 Comics. Find us on eBay Auctions.
Are you ready?
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's Magical Creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back after an off week in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Right now, you're looking at qualifying live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're looking at this recently reconfigured racetrack, 1.5 miles in. 28 degrees of banking here now at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Temperatures in the mid to high 80s. Decent bit of cloud cover, a couple miles an hour of wind. That'll affect these cars a little bit of handling. But really what's going to affect these drivers tonight is going to be pack racing on one of the most exciting tracks currently in NASCAR. And if you watched the NASCAR Cup Series race last weekend, you saw exactly why. A 3-wide photo finish between 3 drivers, as well as 4-wide action, 3-wide action. These drivers are going to have their hands full tonight here at the hottest ticket in NASCAR. Looking at the season standings after 5 of 10 regular season races, Brandon Evans leads the way. He has 3 wins. He's won 3 in a row after Steve Tucker and Jamie Barkus won the opening 2 races of the year. But looking at that cut line, Bobby Germain, Brandon Berrier, George Jewell, Kyle Westby, all single digits above the cut line. Meanwhile, Joe Hobbs and Colton Langford are just 1 point and 2 points below that cut line. Easy day today to make up a lot of points, especially at the track where almost anyone can win. So look now at our schedule. We have Atlanta this week, followed by Bristol Motor Speedway next week, and then we go to Michigan and Pocono, 2 different large tracks there. And then we've round off the season with a traditional 1.5 mile at Kansas. Regular season's winding down with only 5 races left. These are going to stamp their ticket into the playoffs here in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. As you look further, right now, leading qualifying is Brandon Evans. He's the #1 driver. We got a couple of drivers currently out on track trying to put down some laps as well. But Brandon Evans, your points leader, your championship leader so far with his 3 race wins. He's leading the way here in qualifying early on. Now we're going to ride on board with Eddie Smith. He's going to put down his qualifying laps here. His second lap, we'll see if he improves on it at all. He does. He'll jump to the 6th spot overall. Looking at so far, 17 drivers have made a qualifying lap. This is Bobby Germain. Looks like he's on his 2nd lap here. I don't know, maybe it's his 1st lap. I don't see him having a lap yet on the scoreboard. So this is actually Bobby Germain's 1st lap, kind of gets off the bottom there through 3 and 4. And we're going to see that happen in the pack because these drivers will get very, very tight and they'll drift up in the corner. It's going to make following lanes very, very difficult. Bobby Germain's 1st lap, 18th, but this 2nd lap will be his faster. Now we're looking at Jason Taylor.
Oh, if
Jason
you
Taylor
want to
also
go
has
back
already
to Bobby,
put down a
Bobby.
lap.
Hello, welcome everybody. Ray's out there, of course, supporting her family members out there that will have them at the moment. Dougie, of course, they call it Dougie. I think Dougie may be the only one at the moment, but we'll get back to that one. And as well, too, I'll call you the Jewel of 36s because you are the Jewel. And Bobby's pulled in the pit road, my friend. But Cameron might be the only one left up on track. Jason Taylor's also on track, setting purples all over the field, but he's already got the pole.
Yeah, Jason Taylor just took the pole. Looks like Cameron Taylor's also whining. He's about to stop his car here in 3 and 4. So looks like most of the field has completed their qualifying lap. About 6 drivers still haven't. Jason Taylor just on a cool-down lap. His 2 laps have already gone through. He's just trying to practice pit road entries. That's going to be way too fast in a race, but for now, no penalty applied. So far, Dustin Hardy,
that.
Jason.
Yeah.
No, it is. And he knows that he can't make that work. And there's a reason why in the real world, in the NASCAR Cup Series, they actually have to enter pit road on the backstretch, essentially, because they have to get on the apron because it's too fast. So if you watch the Real World Racing Series, they will actually slow down to 90 miles an hour as they enter 3 and 4 on the apron, not on the racing surface. Take 90 miles an hour till you see those cones. And then at that point, they will have to go down to 45 miles an hour on pit road speed. But tonight, we don't have such a rule.
You learn something new every day. And that's actually quite interesting. I didn't know that. And I'm getting into NASCAR, obviously, since I watched the Netflix series. Let us know if the audio is good out there, Ray. And the Jillster, Doug and Jake must have had the same time. Did they really? I'm going to go over that grid at the moment so you can talk about that while I'll get those graphics all sorted out for you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, of course. Welcome along.
Yeah, the Cruising Classics Next Gen Cup Series. Here we go. We're looking at your front row. That's Jason Taylor with your 3-time winner, Brandon Evans on the outside. They actually ran the exact same lap time, but because Taylor ran it more recent or down to the 10,000ths of a second, he'll take the pole. Patrick Drabrick and George Jewell will round out row number 2. Row number 3 will have Robert Barber and Chris Sawyer. Row 4, Eddie Smith with Jamie Barkus. Row 5, Brandon Berrier and Alan Marshall. Row 6, Jake Ellingson and Doug Ellingson. They were 3 1,000ths of a second separated. Jake got the advantage over Doug as you roll back through the rest of the field here. Starting in the
Yep, go ahead.
No rush. Starting in the 13th position behind all those drivers, we have Scott Formosa with Jamie Perkins. That would be side by side. Then you have Daniel Cunningham with Tanner Bethea, Cameron Mason next to Joe Hobbs, Bobby Germain, Trevor McManus, Tyler Justice and John Anthony, Dustin Hardy, Colton Langford, and rounding out the field will be Jason Kraft and Andy Bousquet. Important to note, Steve Taylor not in the field tonight, it looks like, in that 24 machine. So your Daytona winner will not be back at a super speedway-esque race. He will not be in the field. Should be interesting to see how that plays out. 100 laps here tonight at Atlanta. That'll be 150 miles. We'll see how the field handles it as we have 26 drivers. And Dean, I got to say, I have some decently high hopes for this race after seeing what the real world drivers were able to do. But at the same time, the Real World Cup Series was the only series at NASCAR this past week in Atlanta that actually had a decent race. And a lot of drivers have attributed that to the driver talent. So the product here tonight will be as much on the drivers as it is on the cars to put on a good show, Dean.
And Tyler, yeah, speaking of that one exactly, I didn't get to see it, but was it the photo finish that you were referring to with the three?
Oh yeah, the
I
three
saw
wide.
that on social media. Okay, yeah, all right. And on top of
Yeah,
it, we got to
similar to movie
remember
cars.
that some of the drivers now, the young ones that are coming up, they've grown up in racing sims, and now the ones that throw them into a racing car and they are quick. So, yes, you say the real world, well, the virtual world perhaps is the biggest influence on what's going to happen. Now, the virtual world, of course, is that you can throw it into the corner, slam it up against the fence, door banging, as Jacob would say, and you don't need any medical bill or at least lose your multi-million-dollar contract. But still, it's just as fun, and this is still serious, my friend. Remember, it's still serious. It's just without the risk and reward and the G-forces and all that. But, well, as you said,
Yeah,
it's exciting. I need to go back and watch that one. Any picks out
Oh,
there
it's a
for your
great
race
race.
winners before we get this underway? And also predictions for cautions. We know at the moment that Jill's out there supporting, of course, George Jill in P4. We know Ray's out there supporting her team, our family members. We'll get where they are at the moment. But Jason Taylor and Brandon will be the ones in the top spots. Good luck, everybody. And don't repeat last night from Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Jamie Barkas has to do tonight. I think he's a driver who can put together a solid race here tonight. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on the Ellingson family. Jake and Doug, they're starting in this row number 6. Should be interesting. 150 miles, 100 laps in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Jason Taylor leads the field of green. He gets the green. He's on the gas. Brandon Evans to his outside. They will get off cleanly there. No support behind Evans. George Jewell, not a great start here. He's going to fall a little bit. Robert Barber in that Flow Racing 57, moving to inside lane, definitely more organized here early on. Brandon Evans is falling back because of that organization there on the inside lane. Verse 3, all on the inside, clear through the rest of the field as we go down towards 3 and 4. But now Jewell and Evans are going to get linked up there on the outside lane. They're going to try and make some moves. Front 2 separating themselves already a little bit. Jason Taylor and Patrick Drabick, as we're seeing the field get set up 2 by 2 by 2. A little bit more separated than I thought they would be at this point in the race already, Dean. Just only one lap into it. But now we see that's Robert Barber. He's jumping to the outside. He's want to get in front of Brandon Evans, the 3-time winner, as they work their way through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, 1 and 2, of course, 2 abreast at some point. I didn't see 3 abreast just yet, but you got to remember temperature into your tires, gentlemen. Got to take it easy. You're in early stages. They always say the race can be won on the first lap, and the race can also be lost on the first lap. So that's what the drivers are feeling. Getting a feel for the cars, heavy fuel loads, and then get the temperature of the tires there, get the traction there, and the drift. And there it is. We may see a 3 abreast here, Tyler.
Yeah, that's 3 wide. Brandon Evans, Chris Sawyer, Robert Barber. Robert Barber got left on the outside. Evans came down, and now it's just 2 by 2. Evans going to slide into the 5th car in line on the bottom. That's Chris Sawyer moving up to 4th. Robert Barber tried to get up in front of Evans, trying to make up some moves. We're seeing these drivers get single file, a little bit more patience here early on in this drafting race, already on lap number 4. But now Brandon Evans moving to the inside for that 4th position. He wants to move forward. He doesn't want to wait around and ride around. Patrick Drabick just riding right behind your pole sitter, Jason Taylor, for the time being. They're just kind of hugging that red and white. But unlike most super speedways like Daytona or Talladega, where tires don't really matter, you can really wear down the right front tire at this track, Dean, and really get the car super tight, where it'll drift up the hill more and more as a run goes on with the air. But now we see Robert Barber powering back on the outside of George Jewell. He's trying to move up throughout the field. Those two are battling on the tail end of the top 6, make it top 7. There's been a bit of a breakaway here among the top 8 drivers. They're all on their own as the rest of the field is scattered and not really very well organized from 9th on.
And you mentioned it, Robert went up to the highline at the moment, as you can see George, I believe, up the road there. So is this where the highlight is just basically hit it's like putting your hand out the window, isn't it? It's like you feel the pressure pushing your hand back. Is that what it is on the high line right now? It's not worth the gamble. He's going to try it again. Let's see if he gets some speed on here. Explain this as a racing driver.
So it's a little bit easier here, this track, because, right, it's a high banking track. If you're leading a lane or you're by yourself, no one in front of you, you can go flat out because of how strong the draft is here. Those drivers about 3 or 4 back in line actually have to lift entering the corners because their car won't be able to actually hold the bottom. So if you want to make moves, you have to actually pull out of line here in the corners. It's a little bit different from Daytona or Talladega, where everyone can be flat out most of the time. Here, there are some advantages to getting out of line in the corners, plus less dirty air on the nose means the car handles a little bit better. But this early on, where all the tires are fresh, it's not going to work as well as we see. That's Robert Barber dropping back to the 8th position as he pulled out of line. But now George Jules looking to pull out of line. He's going to try and get by Brandon Berrier. Brandon Evans looks to his outside. May get organized, but right now, no takers other than George Jules. He's out there by himself.
Yes, and I'm sure no, he's not by himself. He has fans out there in the chat at the moment. So cheering on George there for the 36 machine at the moment, battling it out with Brandon, the 53 on the inside, as you'd mentioned. It's exploring the track and the track limits, and let's see whether or not I can get it done. Remember, there's also a few car drivers lurking in the background there. That's Robert, and that's Jamie as well. Here we go. Front leaders, line astern, but this is where the action is, my friend.
Yeah, and they kind of broke up a little bit there because they were racing side by side. We saw them get separated from those front four who were staying together. Now they're all back in a single file lane. They should get all back together here, organize their top 8. They'll catch each other's draft. But, this is an advantage of working together. They've been able to separate themselves from 9th on back. Everyone 9th on back stuck 3+ seconds behind and losing time because they're just not organized, right? Farkas, Ellingson, Cunningham, Mason, they're just not getting that single file line, not working together as well as these front 8 are. And that's allowing them to pull away from the field at this point in time. And we could see this happening. We saw it a lot in the Xfinity race, which is, unfortunate for the racing product, but it's great for these guys who are up front because they've narrowed down the field and who's going to be competitive and who can challenge them for a win should this gap be maintained throughout the next 9+ laps.
And let's hope so. And I'm going to switch over at the moment because you know what? If you get your family and you get your friends and everybody else involved, you'll get your camera. There's Jake and there's Doug. Is exactly what Ray had mentioned. Jake had cable out here today and hopefully no problems. He's okay. Jake's good. And, Jake and Dougie are in there. Gain 1 position there, line of stone there. So work together as a family, work together as teammates. Up the end of the top of the timesheet, Jason still leading there from Patrick, who's gained 1. But Eddie Smith, you'd have to say, we forgot about the old Ed stuff. But the 87 machine has gained 4 positions. And on top of it, I did forget about Brandon, the 53 machine. Oh, here we go, my friend. Forget about that one. Eyes on the screen because there is overtaking opportunities. 12 of 100, 89 to go.
Yeah, Brandon Evans tired of sitting in fifth in line. He's going to try and take away the 4th position from his fellow Brandon. That's Brandon Berrier as they're looking down from the cam above. It's 2 by 2 now from 5th on back, and that's going to allow these front 3 drivers to pull away if these guys battle side by side for too long. This is exactly what those 3 want to see. Is they want to see this side by side action. If they don't get this sorted out soon enough, you may see that top 3 pull away from yet another group, and we're going to see multiple different groups. But now it looks like Berrier's gotten clear of Evans, is trying to close that gap, mind you. As long as these other 4 keep running side by side, especially with only 2 and 2, it's going to really, really hurt them in their chances to maintain with the group ahead. So they might want to get it figured out here shortly, or just hope the bottom line prevails here soon enough that Barber and Evans get back in line. But looks like Barber and Evans may have found some speed here. They're trying to make the pass there on George Jewell and was that Chris Sawyer as well.
Yes, it is. It's 4 for us. You can see 2 by 2 by 2. Brandon, George, and Jamie, I believe it is at the moment. They're the top 4 still getting nowhere. And at the moment, Cameron says, let's go, Jason Tyler. Jason Tyler's okay. Maintained the lead of this race at the moment. Good wheel-to-wheel racing. Remember, you get sucked in a little bit, and it's easy to go door bang. It's easy to go spinning around, but let's not top it. There's bump traffic at the moment there as well, too. So, who was on the outside line there getting it done there? That's Chris Sawyer, I think, there, and George Jewell. But this is fantastic. Look at this pack at the moment. You can see it on your track map. They're down the backstretch, and look at the huge gap you have back into the next slot. But forget about that right now. This is where the action is.
Yeah, pretty high important battle here inside the top 8 for the meanwhile. As you see Berrier and Brandon Evans, that's the 2 Brandons working together now on the outside. They may pick up Chris Sawyer here. He thought about going up with them earlier. He won't have time this time. Now the Brandons pick up Robert Barber. Now it's 3 cars on the outside lane trying to make their moves forward. They're going to side draft, try and pull back that Chris Sawyer machine. That's Berrier. It's a little bit of a side draft, not a great run. Evans isn't able to get to the back of him, can't give him a good push down the back straightaway. They're going to try and get re-linked up here on the front straightaway. And what this is doing is, it's not hurting the pack too much because they're not really racing the leader. But if they got all the way up challenging for the lead, it would slow down this group compared to the group behind them, who are about 5 seconds back now. So they have to keep kind of a conscious eye on where they are in relation to contact between Brandon Berrier. He's into the wall there, but Chris Sawyer contact with Evans there on coming back down. Chris Sawyer made a move to kind of hit Berrier off. Berrier's now contact with Barber a little bit. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing drivers struggle with handling. Berrier's got damage. He is now way off the pace. But everyone keeps it straight right now. We're still under the green flag. Team laps into this race, but Berrier is going to get dropped from this lead pack here shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be compromised. Have a look at this. Tell us right now, as a driver, how much damage does he have? Let's have a look at the 25-year-old here from North Carolina.
A lot of
look
damage.
At that, yeah. Now, I don't think you need to be an esports sim racer to realize that, and I think we've all driven cars before. But yes, look at that. If you're pointing your steering in the wrong direction, you need to take it down to your local suspension personnel there and get that fixed. If it ain't pointing in the right direction, you're in big trouble. He has to box, right?
Yeah, he's gonna have to pit here soon. Clearly, there's an issue with the steering column. He's turning significantly to the right, just to keep the car straight. He's got to get out of the way of this field.
Yeah.
If he can't, he's gonna come down pit road here. He's down on the apron. This is where the pit road is in real life. It actually starts here, the slowing down to 90 miles an hour.
Right.
That you just saw.
Oh, he might have.
And now he's got some internet issues
anyway.
as well.
Back to the leader of the race there. Jason Tyler still holding on at the moment. They're keeping his fans out there in the chat. And we all love you out there in the chat. 22 of you watching this evening. Please give us that information. I'll reel it up there. If you say, Dean, buy me some flowers and shout out somebody, I will do that for you. Tyler, if you want Tyler's excellent knowledge of motor racing, well, ask Tyler. That's the Ask Tyler segment we'll have during the caution flag, if we have one.
Yeah, clean so far racing as we're over 1/5 of the way down here. Jason Taylor has led every lap so far. Controlling, as we see, they're getting by that lap machine. I'm not sure who that is on the outside. It looks to be Alan Marshall going up down there on the outside. And so that second pack is now well over 5.5 seconds behind, being led by Jamie Barkas. They're struggling to make up time. They're losing time consistently, it seems. Especially now that this lead pack's gotten back single file. It's really going to hurt. And there's not a lot of cars left. It's going to be really hard for these lead 8 or 7 cars to create energy and create runs on the leader, Jason Taylor. And especially when we're going to have green flag pit stops probably in the next 20 laps. We think fuel's about 40 to 45, maybe 50 laps here tonight. This is going to get very interesting on how pit stops go. One, when you have a pack of 7 cars together, but 2, if these 7 cars remain together the entire race, it's going to be very, very difficult to generate runs, especially if you're 5th, 6th, 7th. So if you're a driver like Brandon Evans, Robert Barber, Chris Sawyer, you may want to move up further in this pack just to help protect yourself, give yourself the opportunity to make runs.
And I also think if you're going to be, if somebody's got to switch into the pit road, you want to make sure you're in the right path at the right time. I mean, most likely Jason's got the biggest pressure on him right now, because if Jason goes to the pit road, I think everybody's going to try to follow him. At least a few, or his teammates will follow him. So that's big pressure on his shoulder. And there it is in the background. So who's that going in the pit road? No,
that wasn't going to pit road. That was a
dummy.
Big wobble getting loose off the corner. That wasn't a dummy. He almost looped around there. And that's a thing with this next-gen car people don't realize is they are much more of a handful, especially at this Atlanta Raceway. They will slide. We saw it in the real world with Chris Buescher going around on his own on the Sunday Cup Series race. And these drivers are struggling for handling.
I haven't seen it yet. Come on.
He just spun. He didn't get destroyed.
You're spoiling everything at the moment as we're seeing Patrick putting massive pressure on Jason for the lead of this race. And Eddie Smith, there's your 3-party. Who wants to party? No party unless it is currently at the moment the Nazra Racing Net party here for the Crusin Classics. Here it is, gentlemen and girls and ladies. Hold on.
This is going to get very interesting because that group of 4 who's racing side by side is about to lose this lead 3 here shortly. If they lose, another couple tenths, they'll lose. It looks like Brandon Evans will be okay. It looks like he's bridging the gap for the rest of the group. So maybe it'll be a 4-car group here shortly. But right now it's those 3 in front because they're just maintaining position. They're not trying to pass each other. Problem is, if it maintains this 3, there's definitely no chance at making have significant energies. You're looking back at that Jan Prank promotion 07 for Patrick Drabeck, one of the sponsors here of the Crusin Classics Next Gen Series. It looks like Brandon Evans is going to close that gap. here to Eddie Smith and company, but George Jewell, Chris Sawyer, and Robert Barber are about to get dropped here very, very shortly from this lead pack. That's only going to be 4 cars up here very soon battling for the lead over the next maybe 5 to 10 laps.
They're going to catch that 24 machine on the top of the screen. They're going on the backstretch pretty quickly at the moment, as you said. Good liveries on those teams. We actually love it. Every other one of those drivers that put the effort in the course. And without the sponsorship, we would not have the fantastic Next Gen Series or the Nazareth Racing Network. And those 3, as you said, Brandon's going to slowly creep in on that one. To answer your question out there, Ray, I did not forget. We can run cams tomorrow, if you like. Absolutely. I'd like to see all the beautiful drivers there. Flexing their guns as they're making their way around the Top Gun tracks here at the toppest gun network on the planet. This is the Top Gun, isn't it? Forget flight school, my friend. Forget Maverick and forget Goose. You have it all here at Maverick.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. They're about to come up to the driver who got massive damage from an incident earlier. That's Brandon Berrier. I'm not sure who he made contact with, but he may be a little upset. He's going to block the leader. New leader is going to be Patrick Drabick. Jason Taylor gets into the back of Brandon Berrier. Now you have a new race leader, Patrick Drabick. Brandon Evans is now going to close the gap. What a bad decision from Taylor. He looked like he wanted to just follow Berrier, and that didn't work at all. Your pole sitters led every lap now. He's fallen to 4th, and he may lose the draft here as your new leader, Patrick Drabick, as they run their way through 3 and 4 here. And they're rolling through.
Well, Kenny would say you got to know when to hold him, you got to know when to fold him, and you got to know when to walk away. And at that point, he let his cards on the table, and unfortunately, did not quite work out. So Patrick now, well, does he have the river? That's going to be the key, isn't it? Is he holding it? Is he holding a full hand, or does he have the royal flush?
Yeah, but that issue did cause one thing, and that caused this group to come back together. Now call it about 6 cars all together here. Robert Barber has closed the gap. Looks like Chris Sawyer will be able to close the gap here shortly if he pushes Brandon Berrier, who's a lap down. Actually, will be 2 laps down. Is back into this fold. So right now, though, it's just those top 6 all in the lead lap, and then a bit of a gap back to Brandon Berrier, and then a little bit more of a gap back to Chris Sawyer, who will lose the draft here shortly. So now it's just a lead pack of 6. Brandon Evans has improved his track position. He's moved up to 3rd, while Jason Taylor's moved back to the 4th position as Drabick and Smith lead the way 1-2. But Smith's got to be careful. He keeps drifting up a lot. I know it's because he's getting aero tight here in 3 and 4, but Evans will fill that hole, and he'll find himself further back. As you see Evans all over the back bumper of the 87. He may try to push him to get him up the track here in 1 and 2. Nope, they all are able to wrap the bottom rather well here. And I'll see what happens down here in 3 and 4. If Evans can get back to that back bumper, that 87 machine. No, he can't. 87 very, very tight to the 07. We'll see. Caution's out.
Yes.
32 laps in. Caution is out. There's a car stopped on the front straightaway, it looks like.
Well, let's have a look at that, man. It looks like 22 that's stopped in a track map at the moment, but we're going to see whether or not the drivers I have to pass pit roads. They cannot go in. Let's have a look. I think that might be Trevor. I was just about to ask you, my friend, when is the time for the drivers to go on the pit road and get a splash and dash? And obviously, now. Let's find out right now exactly what happened to cause this incident. And I believe it may have very much been the Trevor.
He caused it himself. He just came down on that car who was clearly to his inside and just kind of spun himself out.
Yeah, we're going to look
closer.
And
this is what I was talking about with moving too far up the track. Someone's going to fill the gap. McManus drifts up, and Dustin Hardy fills the gap. And Dustin has every right to fill that gap. He's trying to, improve his track position. Yeah. He's there. And it looked like McManus may have been a little loose, too. He was already a little bit sideways before he came down and hit Hardy. But that is the cost of the caution. First caution of the night. Everyone's coming down for 4 tires and fuel. And we'll actually use this to take a quick commercial break. And we'll be right back with the Crusin Classics Next Gen Series live from
Are you ready?
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's magical creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations, made with love for you.
And we're back live from Atlanta, the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series, rounding out lap number 34 of 100, just over 1/3 of the way through this race. First caution of the night brought out by Trevor McManus, coming across the nose of Dustin Hardy here in the quad oval, spinning himself through the grass. But no damage, it seemed to be, to that 18 machine, except for maybe a little bit of a damaged ego. But this is going to bring the whole field back together again. This will be very interesting to see how that plays out. It looks like Alan Marshall's going to get a lap back, and it looks like a couple other drivers opting to take the wave around here. This doesn't allow the drivers to make it to the end, though, Dean. They still will have to make one more pit stop unless we get a caution around lap 60. So this just helps them get a little bit fresher boots, and they can make a little bit more aggressive moves here. But I figure we're going to see more of the same, where we're going to see everyone trying to get single file here and maybe separate themselves from the rest of the field.
You're right. And like that, fresh boots, of course. The boots are made for walking, and the boots are going to make for walking all over everybody at the moment there. But as you said there, Tyler, it's to let drivers get in. And the key thing right now, because as you said, getting to the end, we got a lot way through this race, right? We're almost approaching the halfway through the point. First caution, that's actually pretty impressive considering a few of the races we've had of late. And 66 laps to go. That's a big stretch, but we have seen it before here. Drivers conserving their tires and drivers conserving the fuel. And if there is not going to be Barney waving that yellow flag and you go to the end, bingo, points on the table.
Yeah, as we're getting ready to go back green here on lap number 36, when they take the green flag, Barney the flag man waiting. Your race leader right now, that's Patrick Drabrick, tees to the inside, Eddie Smith to the outside of him, row 2, Jason Taylor, George Jewell. Green flag is back in the air here at Atlanta in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Patrick Drabrick there moves up and gets straight to business. He's going to line up with Eddie Smith. Those two have worked together tonight all night long. See Jason Taylor already to the outside. We're going to see everyone try and get single file here. Taylor had an option to come down, did not take it. Jamie Barkas is going to try and move forward. He was part of that second pack. He used this caution as an opportunity to get himself up into the main group. He's now running 4th. Jake Ellingson's now running 5th. He's +6. Daniel Cunningham +7. Kraft as well as Langford each up double digits, up 15, up 12 here on this restart. And we're seeing everyone try and get single file here early on as they're back of the field. It's crazy with 2x2 racing.
2x2. If I press my button by button, at the moment, Patrick leading from Eddie and George Shield there. Jamie Jake is up there. Oh, big accident in the background there. He called it. That's Brandon, I believe, and a few of the other top guns here. And
Dustin Hardy involved, Bobby Germain involved. It looks like as well.
Goose.
We're staying green. Yep, there's Bobby Germain. We stay green here. Lap 38.
You are correct.
Yep.
I'll get that replay in a second, everybody.
No rush. Lap 38 of 100. Back up front, Patrick Drabrick, Eddie Smith, George Jewell, Jamie Barkas, Jake Ellingson, 1 through 5. Jason Taylor, your pole sitter, led most of the race early on. He's fallen to 6th. Most of the field here, single file, kind of minding their P's and Q's here. Very different from what we saw in the NASCAR Cup Series this past Sunday, where they were racing 2 wide, 3 wide most of the race. These drivers just trying to get to the end of this race, I think, at this point in time. Just trying to get to their next fuel stop. And you can't really blame them, especially after what we saw in the Xfinity and truck races. With a lot of fuel saving being the name of the game, those races, Steve. I don't think any of these drivers can make it to the end of this one, but they can save enough fuel to make them have to take less fuel later on. And the guy who's burning the most fuel, that's your leader, Patrick Drabrick.
Well, gasoline. It's important, my friend. Powers it, but they might have a little battery. They might have some Tesla batteries stacked up at the bottom of these vehicles at the moment. They can just flick up the switch over to the left-hand side that says, does that say page, ignition, start? Also a little battery boost. That may be what George Jewell will need here, currently running a P3 on the back of Eddie Smith. And then Patrick is up the road. That's your top 3 currently at the moment here, like 40 of 100.
We're seeing these drivers kind of behave themselves. Robert Barber, first one out of line. He's back there in the 10th position trying to get around Doug Ellingson, who's in 9th. Those two drivers battling side by side for the moment. Meanwhile, up front, Eddie Smith, Patrick Drabrick still working together. That's Jake Ellingson. He's in the 5th position, +6 so far on the night in that 27 machine. He's running well. having a much better run of it tonight than he did 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. I think he's going to be happy with his performance, especially at a super speedway. That's the Milwaukee, Wisconsin native there. Riding on board with him here as he looks ahead at Jamie Barkis, one of the drivers I said to keep an eye on tonight.
You know what we need to do one time, Ray? I'd love to have Ray come up into the commentary booth one time during caution, and Ray can actually explain what happens with the lovely Ellison family there. And she could, I mean, because she gives us a little feedback out there, doesn't she, in the chat? She can be like, what's happening? I mean, she could be a pit lane reporter. Ray, would you like to be a pit lane reporter? Of course, here for the NASRA Network for the Crusin Classics. Welcome, anytime. But anyway, meantime, we won't be talking about you at the moment, Ray. I know you're sitting at the moment. Patrick, I'm that big crash of Eddie Smith. Can he hold on for the Jam Printing and Promotions machine? And Eddie Smith, fame 5 positions gained. It's Ford versus Chevy?
Yeah, it's that Chevy Arrow ZL1 in the first position. That second position, that is that Ford Dark Horse Mustang there. Those two drivers battling, but it looks like they're working together for the meanwhile, not really trying to pass each other, just kind of pushing each other. Top 8 have now separated themselves from the field. Daniel Cunningham made the jump over. Robert Barber, on the other hand, is now part of that second pack when he was part of the first pack earlier on. So new drivers in this front group. That includes Daniel Cunningham, Jamie Barkis, Jake Ellingston. They have joined the main pack at this point in time. Drivers who have been dropped off who were performing well, that includes Brandon Evans. He has some issues. He's 8 seconds back. He's no longer with a drafting partner other than Trevor McManus. Not really sure what happened with him. I don't know if he was maybe involved in that incident with Bobby Germain and Dustin Hardy that we saw in the background one of the laps, many laps ago. So interesting to see. That's your points leader, Brandon Evans. He's back in the 18th position. He is struggling. 9 machine lost 16 spots, but now they're lapping Dustin Hardy, that 3 machine, who was involved in that incident early in the backstretch after the restart here. As you see the field fly by him on the inside, lap 45. They're coming towards lap number 46 of 100.
Be crucial, your spotter at the moment. See, there's cars up the high line. The spotter has to be allowing you immediately to know there is a slower car, lap traffic up the road. It's crucial that they don't approach him at 1,000,000 miles an hour. There it is. As you can see, trying to get the way around. So there, and it's very important you don't realize there's a lot of strategy, and hopefully the lap car will tuck in behind at the right place at the right time. Now, if you get that wrong, my friend, and we've seen it before here, even this week here at the NASRA Network, the leaders have run into some lap traffic, and I'll tell you what, I would not want to be down into that cool debriefing room at the moment, because I'm sure there's a lot of going on. Here we go. It's a battle at the moment here, back at 10th, 11th, and 12th and 13th.
Yeah, top 11 now part of the lead pack. Tyler Justice is the last one hanging to a spot in that group there. As you're looking back from 12th on back, that's Jason Kraft, Colton Ford, Cameron Mason, and John Anthony that makes this pack of 4 here. Lead pack now has 11 drivers. These 4 here form another pack, and then you have Formosa, Doug Ellingson are their own pack, about 8 seconds back. And then you got to go back 10 seconds for Brandon Evans and Trevor McManus. But this pack up here now has a little bit of an outside line forming with Jason Taylor, your pole sitter, who led the first 20 laps of this race. He's got Robert Barber behind him, and they also have, that's Tyler Justice, that 33 machine. They're trying to move forward as well. Seeing an outside lane finally forming here, 2x2 action, and they're actually making significant progress. They're not just getting stalled out, and it helps when you have a very fast,
44!
Trouble almost there. Almost a big wreck between the 57 and the 44 there. They were pushing really aggressively. The 44 got loose. He does not want to be a part of this push anymore. He's going to drop to the tail end of this line, and that's going to kill the outside lane in its own right. So here, Taylor going to just reset the car, try and get back in line, get the draft going again.
Yeah, I think that's clever. I think that's clever.
Inside.
I think that's totally clever from Taylor. He realizes his little tango at the wall got a little loosey-goosey, but he's very, very happy to not take out everybody in the pack and spin the opposite direction. He lives to see another day, and don't be surprised if Taylor doesn't come back and actually win this race later on. No, there's 51 laps to go, halfway point. So, yeah, Code Brown moment, of course, but hey, you've saved it. You haven't destroyed your friends and foes. You're still in it, but Patrick is still leading this race from Eddie.
Yeah, Robert Barber still leading that outside lane. He's the only driver we've consistently seen tonight jump to that outside lane, trying to make something happen. He's moved up to the 6th position now, getting just by Chris Sawyer here. He's going to try and take the fight to Ellingson, but he's kind of stalled out here. But now Taylor's going to join the back end of this outside lane instead of the front end. They're going to try and get some momentum going here. As he's going to be that's going to be Robert Barber side by side with Jake Ellingson. He's going to come down side draft aggressively. That outside lane finally making some decent progress here, moving forward. Now Robert Barber's battling for the 4th position. He's going to try and get 3rd here, but no, he's tight here in the corner. 3 wide again, almost trouble there between the 33 and the 57.
We need to get Taylor Swift. We need some trouble. You have trouble happening right now. But these gentlemen and everybody here this evening have stayed out of trouble. Only 1 caution. That was just a little bit of a spitteroo, really a self caution. So it's been good. Touch wood. I don't want to curse as one at the moment there, Tyler. We're looking at, look at that pack at the moment. There's your leader, Patrick, all the way down. I think if you can go back to Crystal so, right? Here it is.
Yeah, Barber jumped down there on the bottom lane right behind Ellingson. Now your lead outside lane, that's Tyler Justice and Jason Taylor. Tyler Justice, a little bit of a blank there, but he's back now. Jason Taylor's pushing from behind him. They're battling for the 5th position with Jake Ellingson. They're side by side, but 2 cars is not going to be enough to push that outside lane forward. They need at least 3 or 4. We saw Daniel Cunningham jump outside there, but he's lost a little bit of that draft. He's fallen a little too far back to contribute, but that outside lane's still holding its own pretty well with 2 cars. They're going to try and take the battle here to the 4th place car of Jamie Barkus here shortly as Tyler Justice gets a really big run down the front straightaway. Still out front, though, Patrick Drabick, Eddie Smith, lead George Jewell, the top 3 single file. The battle is for 4th right now. That's Jamie Barkus with Tyler Justice to his outside as they work down the back straight.
And I'm wondering at the moment, only 2 on the outside line. Is anybody going to go up there and give him a little bit of a push and shove here at the moment? Because Eddie Smith cannot find his way past Patrick. Go ahead.
Yeah, Daniel Cunningham got really close to the wall. He's the last truck or car on the outside lane and that number 99 machine. But now that outside lane has a lot more momentum. They got 4 cars up there, but this is going to make it more intense, especially now that the tires are wearing off. Battle for 3rd between Justice and George Jewell. Outside lane starting to build up more momentum. Barber jumps back to the outside lane. He'll be 3rd in line of that lane instead of 5th in line on the bottom. He's trying to get around Ellingson and improve his position. But now we're seeing the pack racing. We're seeing the effects of dirty air really affect those cars in the back. They drift up more and more every corner. We're going to see how this progresses. But Justice and Taylor, they're trying to move forward here, but they've lost a little bit of ground here the last lap and a half.
And Eddie Smith is actually pushing Patrick. He has no intentions whatsoever of going on the outside line there. He's happy to push Patrick. They're working together right now. They realize that 45 laps to go ain't going to be over and done with right now. They are wanting to cover themselves off, aren't they? On the outside line. And as you said, whether or not that's going to be enough power, the Red Bull, obviously, talk to Max Verstappen. Talk to you all about that. As Jake and everybody else on the outside line, they need a pack. It's pack wolf, it's pack hunting, and it's pack racing here at the Gert Locker Racing League Classics.
Yeah, Daniel Cunningham got out of that outside lane. He dropped to the inside. He's going to tail on with Sawyer, but now it looks like Sawyer's trying to follow the outside lane. The last car on the inside lane, that's Tanner Bethea having some internet issues. He's been blinking the last couple corners here. Outside lane now will have 4, maybe 5 cars here shortly, seeing if they can build up some momentum again after they've lost their advantage. They were working their way forward. Now they've fallen back. Tyler Justice leads the outside lane. He's in 5th currently. They need Jason Taylor, Tyler Justice to work well here on this outside lane. That's going to control how effectively they can move forward. You're just not seeing Taylor get close enough to that back bumper of Justice right now. And that's just not allowing them to move as far forward or as fast forward as they really hope to. But props to Tyler Justice. I mean, plus 15 so far on the day. Started all the way back in the 21st position. He's moved forward. He's inside the top 5, top 6 right now, battling back and forth with Jake Ellingson as we are leading lap 59 here, looking to get on lap number 60 next time by. Almost coming up to that 2/3 point, Dean.
42 to go at the moment. You can see right now from Jason Taylor, the 44 machine we're riding on board with. But he has Tyler up the road there to help him out. That's the 33 machine on the outside, the Oracle Red Bull machine. Now, as you said, if you give it a little bit of push and shove, they got to catch Patrick. You just see the inside line. That's Patrick leading Eddie, George, Jewel, and Jamie on the inside line here. So explain to me as a racing driver, if they can work together on the outside line, can they get the job done?
Yeah, they can, but they have to keep it tighter, and I don't know necessarily what's going on with that outside lane. It looks like there's just the 2 of them, Taylor and Tyler, or Jason and Tyler on the outside lane now. It looks like everyone else has jumped to the bottom based on the rearview mirror I'm looking at on the top, and now you see Tyler Justice blinking in and out. Doesn't help that lane either. it's going to hurt. They need Barber to go up there. They need another one to go up there to keep pushing forward and kind of improve that lane. But until they do that, it's not going to help their advantage at all. But now we're seeing them challenge back up for the 5th position, maybe the 4th position. They need to keep it tight together. They can't have these big gaps like you see. Now they're tighter together. You see Jason Taylor's only about half a car length behind Tyler Justice, and now they're moving forward again. They're going to be side by side with Barkus. They're going to try to get to the outside of George Jewell here through the front straightaway.
I think you're right on this one, isn't it? They are working together. Here he goes. So they're creeping into the 3rd position on the inside. There is currently at the moment I didn't see the 36 machine. There it is of George Jewell. So for the Jewell fans out there, I know you're screaming for Jules. Yeah. Well, screaming for champagne at the moment there, if you can get that job done for George Jewell. But at the moment, he's got Eddie Smith and Patrick working together. Very, very grand if they're teammates or not. It doesn't really matter until you get down to about 10 to go. Then you're mortal enemies, really, isn't it? So it's like a superhero series, isn't it? Like reading Spider-Man and Superman. But at the moment, you're not. It's a Crusin Classics Next Gen series.
Yeah, and really what can help this outside lane is how close Robert Barber is to them, right? The 3rd car in lane helps keep the momentum up by keeping that 2nd car closer to that lead car. And what the lead car can do to minimize distance between himself and the 2nd car is when he gets a push, don't get too far ahead of him. Maybe drag the brake a little bit, keep them tighter. It'll help the lane so much better. As you see now, they're really pushing on these cars here. Almost a little bit of contact there between Jake Ellingson and Tyler Justice. They both kind of almost just came together here. Thankfully, no issues arose from that. But this is that outside lane probably needs 1 or 2 more cars to really make a difference. They need the 99 or the 21 to close that gap to them if they want to have a chance to truly move forward instead of being stuck in this 3rd or 4th position as we see Tyler Justice blink out again here for a little bit.
Yeah, the blink is going to hurt at the moment, but he doesn't know the blinking. He's racing without the blink, and there is the 33 machine on the outside. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, is it Shasta? You're up in the helicopter cam with us right now, and you're giving a bird's eye view. The 33 is working here. It is working the outside line. You called it.
Yeah, and it's because Eddie Smith was not tight to the back bumper of Patrick Drabeck. They had about 2 car lengths between them, and Barber has kept it closer now. That outside lane, plus when you're at a smaller super speedway like Atlanta, the outside lane is better to keep the momentum up because you have a wider arc. You're not turning the wheel as much as you are on the bottom here, especially with these tight corners. It's not as big of a deal at Talladega, which is a very, very big track. It does affect it a little bit at Daytona, but here at Atlanta, the outside lane will maintain the momentum. But now Eddie Smith has closed that gap again to Patrick Drabeck. They're pushing a lot better here. And now, if you're a driver 4th or 5th, you maybe jump up to that outside lane and say, hey, these guys are moving by themselves. If I can get another car out here, maybe they can move even further forward if I give them enough help here, and maybe I can get myself in a better position than I am here stuck on the bottom. As you see now, that's Daniel Cunningham. He's jumped to the outside, so now you got 4 cars on the outside here through 1 and 2. They're losing a little bit of ground. They need Barber to close that gap back up to Taylor here if they want to maintain this positioning. But they're losing a lot of ground as that front 2 have relocked bumpers. Eddie Smith giving a great push to Patrick Drabeck.
You can't teach old George can you? They knew exactly how to cover that one off, and they did at the moment. So it's going to be a bit more work at the moment for Tyler on the outside line to get it done. He always to say, to keep on moving. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on moving. And they're moving their way around 68 of 100, 33 to be 32 to go soon. The back straight. And also, just to mention really quickly, look at the track map. Big spread of cars all over the place, but this is where you need to have your eyes glued.
These guys have created a massive gap back to the 2nd pack, and Tyler Justice has dropped back down to the bottom. He's gotten back in line. Now he drifts back up here. He should try to cover off. No, he doesn't try to cover off the 15. Instead, is going to lose that position and try and wait for Jason Taylor to come back up and push him. But this is going to kill the momentum because they got just so separated here. I think you're going to see everyone get back single file. We're inside the pit window to make it to the end. I don't know if we can make it to the end from that caution around lap 33. So we're going to see drivers maybe think about pitting here shortly because this would be the time where you can make a stop and make it all the way to the end. But that inside line remained organized, Dean. They didn't, make different moves to break up that line. That's why they're maintaining their pace. As you see, those outside 3 are going to have to restart this whole process all over again.
Yeah, well, they have time because if Patrick decides to go in, and I hope he has some bloody communication. Sorry, apologies for language. But he has to communicate because if Patrick elects to go into pit road and he doesn't allow Eddie Smith to in the background, doesn't even realize what's going on, last switch and momentum of shift of downs, downshift and speed, they could catch everybody else off guard. And remember, you were talking about that at the top of the show. That pit lane entrance, snap the brake there, lock it off, you're spinning room into pit road. That's not good. So everything is laying on Patrick Trevec. There's 07 machine that's gained 2 positions leading this race at the moment. What is going through his mind?
It's not just, don't lock it up on the spin, just don't speed. It's going to be really hard to get slowed down in time. And that's why you may run the risk of having someone lock up, is because you just can't, you can't necessarily guarantee you're going to make pit road speed. So these drivers are going to have a big challenge on their hands when it comes time for green flag pit stops, if they need to make green flag pit stops. We don't necessarily know if drivers have been saving fuel this entire time. We assume that drivers who've been leading lanes haven't, and that's going to hurt them, and we think that those drivers may not be able to make it. But if you've been a driver who's been sitting in line the entire time, not trying to make the outside work, like, I don't know, Jake Ellingson, he's been sitting there on the inside 4th or 5th in line. He's been saving fuel. He hasn't been keeping a super tight gap to those cars ahead of him. We could see him try and maybe stretch this out, as we have just 28 laps remaining.
I get a feel for Tyler Justice, the number 33 machine. Every time I click on him, he's blinking. He is blinking. He may not be aware of it, but somebody maybe a family member might be firing up that microwave there, and that 2.4 gigahertz is interfering with your Wi-Fi. So, but he has to just drive the pants off that machine, and he has 17 positions gained. It is a little frustrating when they blink, but once again, he's probably not aware that he's blinking to everybody else. But we are aware up here. But Patrick is not aware of the fact that he's leading this race. And Eddie is well aware that he's giving a little bit of a push comes to shove. So it ends in the 7. It's either the 87 or the 07. But I tell you what, as I said before, when it comes to 10 to go, it's no friends no longer. When you remember when you're in kindergarten there and somebody steals your Play-Doh and you wanted to use it, well, that's when it's all that. There's going to be a little bit of a kindergarten playground brawl between those two drivers if they get to the stage.
Yeah, 26 laps to go. Looks like the outside lane's trying to form up again to make another run. Those first 3 drivers of Justice, Tyler Justice, Jason Taylor, and Tanner Bethea trying to make it work. Robert Barber may be considering getting on the back of it, but he's at a point where he can choose whatever lane he wants because he has no one to his inside or outside. Meanwhile, so right there, waiting in the wings. It looks like he's hanging back in hopes of a caution or a wreck here. We have 25 laps remaining here in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series, live from Atlanta Motor Speedway's Atlanta Motor Speedway, the reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway Super Speedway, really, in my opinion. That has put on some great racing as of recently. And these drivers have kept it pretty clean, but now we're seeing tight cars really play a factor here. Tires have worn away, and we're seeing that inside lane not be able to maintain the bottom. We just saw that last corner, Dean. They all drifted way up the track.
Well, you called it, my friend. I mean, you've done more I say miles than everybody else has. Look at the elevation change right there. Was going Gyrocan from Daniel. You don't realize that this is what drivers have to experience, of course. But yeah, Tyler. I mean, I don't know how many laps around as a record you've done on recent events. I mean, you haven't even been home in a long, long time. 24 laps to go. Someone's going to be calling home. You, my friend, is going to be calling this race home. But yeah, I mean, if anybody doesn't know what is going on in this motor race at the moment, Tyler certainly does.
Yeah, the outside lane has fallen apart here. Jason Taylor's by himself. I think we're going to be seeing pit stops here soon. Everyone's kind of getting in line. They're getting on the bottom. They're caught up to a lap car. That's Brandon Berrier here. He has blinked right in front of them. And it probably scare them all, but I would not be surprised if we saw pit stops here very, very shortly because they've all gotten single file. Doesn't look like anyone's trying to mount any passes. They're all just trying to get to the bottom and be ready to come down pit road effectively here. Because like we said, this is a hard pit road to come down. They have an 18-second gap over 12. This top 11 group, like they have almost a full half a lap lead. And they're about to catch up to this far end pack that includes their points leader, Brandon Evans. They're 24 plus seconds back. There's about 5 cars in that pack. They're about to catch this secondary pack here shortly.
How much would that feel if Brandon Evans, of course, leading that, as you said, the championship? Look at that real quick there. There's Brandon Evans. But Brandon Evans, as you said, way down the field. So you're overtaking somebody leading the championship. We're running on board currently at the moment, Patrick, because I want to see, and I want you to tell me at the moment, when is he going to think about pit straight? He's down the back stretch right now. He's got 3 and 4 to go. You'll probably give us an indication of what he could do.
Yeah, so in regards to getting on pit road safely, the best thing you can do is come over to the voice chat and say, hey guys, I'm pitting here. Most likely, this group of top 11 have probably agreed to all pit together, all kind of work together, because it's worked for them so far. They've been able to open up a massive lead over the rest of the
They're
field.
talking about boxing together. Come on, gentlemen.
But it will make for a really good race if these 11 stay together, because there's enough cars to build momentum when it comes down to the final 10 or 5 laps where they can make very, very difficult passes and they can really take it to each other. But Robert Barber doesn't seem to have gotten the memo. He's jumped to the outside there in the 57 Flow Racing machine. He wants to either move forward or he wants to just start, getting positions that he can as he thinks everyone's kind of slowing down to just kind of keep everyone in line. He is moving his way forward, though. He's been able to get, you see that big checkup. When you all have too many cars in a line, they're going to cause checkups because not everyone can run the exact same speed because of the draft throttle positions. And it's a really fine skill to be able to do that perfectly, lap in, lap out. We're seeing Robert Barber. He's jumping up to the outside there. Almost a little bit of a block from Jake Ellingson. Really forced him to get out of the gas there, and he's going to lose his position to Tanner Bethea on the inside.
He's going to be left hung for dry out there on the inside. Unless he can tuck. He can't tuck anywhere. There's no gap. It's like where you're on the motorway, isn't it? And you're like, okay, I need to get out of the fast lane and into the slower lane. This is the faster lane on the inside. He's hung for dry. And we don't know a little scrap against the fence. These cars are pretty tough. But at the moment, Eddie has never had any intentions whatsoever just yet of passing Patrick. But then again, traffic. So anybody thinking about going to the Highline right now, do not do it. There you go. Because you're going to be approaching lap traffic at a rapid rate.
Yeah, they just lapped the number 80 machine, and that is Scott Formosa. He's 6 laps down, as well as Alan Marshall, the 82 machine. He's now 1 lap down. So first car not on the lead lap will be Alan Marshall in 19th. So these drivers still being very, very calm, very, very patient with 17 laps to go. I don't know if they can make it to the end on fuel, if we're going to see a pit stop very, very late in this race, or if they're hoping for a caution to not have to make green flag stops, as we have 16 to go in this race. But another thing to keep an eye on, are they going to catch this other pack? They're about 4 to 5 seconds behind.
Oh, they will.
They only have 16 laps. The lap times have been faster, yes, but not significantly faster. They've been pretty similar. Last lap by, that last pack ran at 30.5. Last time these guys ran at 30.3. And they
I
got
don't
5
need to
seconds
be
to
an
cover.
expert at this one, my friend, but if you look at it down past the line as you're going 1 and 2, they are catching visually,
Caution.
and we have caution. So they have to box. Oh no!
Right in front of them.
Is it Doug?
It was this pack right in front of them.
It's Doug.
Brandon Barrier, Doug Ellingson involved, others involved as well. It was
All
the
right, Ray,
pack
look
they were
away.
just about to catch.
Ray, look away, please.
Brandon,
Look away.
I have to back it up a little bit, but there's Doug Ellingson at 58,
Oh,
Brandon
no.
Barrier in that 53. Oh wow, looks like
Is it the lap car?
Brandon Barrier's a lap down, but he's in line, just trying to
This is
ride
Doug we're
around
looking
here.
at 58.
Yeah, we're watching Doug. He goes wide.
Oh, that's on you, Doug.
Ooh. That's rough.
That's on you, Doug. You came high to the line.
Hard
Look at this.
contact.
Yeah, look at this. Doug came to the high line. Sorry, Ray. But look at that. Doug's in the high line, right? 53 machines on the inside. Doug goes close to the 53, goes out wide. Obviously, probably a little bit too much pace into the corner. Steers in, loses it, tags the 50. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Ray. But that's on Dougie.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But now it's going to give everyone a chance to come down pit road.
Yeah.
It looks like they are all coming down pit road here. We would see
You've got
here
to,
if they
wouldn't
are.
you? Well, Patrick's
If
got
they
a
think-
weight on his shoulders because he's the one that makes his decision.
No, he's not. They think they can make it to the
Oh.
end on fuel. So these drivers are banking they can make it to the end on fuel.
No, Daniel's gone in.
Okay. That's one
Jason.
driver. Daniel Cunningham, Jason Taylor's in, John Anthony is in, Jason Kraft. Others are in as well, but those are the 4 drivers in the lead lap who are in. They might be pitting because they think that, they can get 4 fresh tires and make better. Because we're on
Why
about
not?
50 plus lap
Yeah.
old tires. Might as well have a chance. But it is hard in pack racing to make moves, even with fresh tires. We're going to take a quick 30-second break and then be back with the finish here from Atlanta on the NASRA 360 Racing Networks of the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. And we're back live from Atlanta, the Cruising Classics Next Gen Cup Series. We had just had our second caution of the day for an incident between Doug Allingson, Brandon Barrier. Brandon Barrier has had a rough day of it. He's been involved in a couple different issues. Brandon Evans, your points leader, he's still on pit road in the 16th position. He just got off pit road, so he must have had some damage issues as well in that 39 machine that forced him to have a long stop there, which is probably why he lost the lead draft. But it's going to be a tight finish here. Dean should be getting hopefully the 1 to green this time by. Hopefully the lights go out on the iRacing virtual pace car here. We should get the field 2x2. Yep, we will here. Get them ready to roll. We'll set the stage for you here real quick. So your leader, Patrick Drabeck, Eddie Smith on the front row. Jamie Barkas and George Jewell make up row number 2. Jake Ellingson, Tanner Bethea make row 3. Robert Barber, Chris Sawyer, row 4. Row number 5 will have Tyler Justice and Daniel Cunningham. That also includes Daniel Cunningham, who last came to pit road, or my bad, Daniel Cunningham last came to pit road on lap 87. He also, along with Jason Taylor, Trevor McManus, John Anthony, and Brandon Evans, all last came to pit road on lap 87. We believe Evans has some damage, though, which may slow down his machine, as we're getting ready to go back to green here. 11 laps remaining. Dean, will me go green? What do you think's going to happen here?
Well, I mean, now it's the Patrick and Eddie show that's been leading the race for most of the time. That's the 87 and the 07. So now, yeah, as I said, they've been helping each other along this race. 2 positions gained for Patrick and 5 for Eddie. But keep an eye, I think, Jamie in the background there, the 15 machine lurking there. And don't forget George Jewell having a big shout out there, of course, from a family member at least supporting in the chat. A fan boost goes a long way. So, and then Jake Ellison, of course, a little bit further back. But you know what? The only way is to tell is when Barney waves the flag, and when Barney waves the final time. 12 to go, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, my friend. Patrick in the lead.
Green flag. We're going to see a teammate restart maybe here. Patrick Drabeck gets a great jump. He's got Jamie Barkas behind him. Both of them will clear Eddie Smith here in a 1 and 2 with 11 laps remaining here. Outside lane, only those front 2 went going. Inside lane, terrible restart. Got really stacked up there throughout the field. Single file, call it for the first 5 or 6 cars. We're going to see if anyone jumps to the outside here. No one yet in the top 6. Big check up there between Ellingson, Bethea, and George Jewell here. Inside line stacking it pretty heavily, but they got a great jump. They're already clear well of 7th at this point in time. Those top 6 trying to separate themselves here to win this race.
Yeah, Patrick now, and I told you Jamie's going to make a jump at the moment because he's split up Eddie. Eddie might be a little bit upset about that. Eddie be running in P2 the whole time, thinking, I can take Patrick for the lead of this race. Now Jamie's in the mix, and don't forget George and Jake in the mix a little bit further back at the moment there, because the closer you get, the closer with 10 laps to go. This is it, game time and race time for the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series at the moment for Atlanta. Let's see how it's going to pan out. Those 10 laps are going to click down to 9.
4 wide, 4 wide.
4 wide, oh my God, you called it, my friend. Look at this.
They've narrowed it back
Camera
down to
work.
3 wide here. Almost terrible there between Jason Taylor as well as others, including Tanner Bethea and Robert Barber. They barely made that work there through the quad oval off the floor. Now we're going to see them trying to get this group back together, trying to recombine the field here as we have only 9 laps remaining stuck on the outside. I want to say that's Daniel Cunningham in that 99 machine. He can't get down. He's by himself. He has no one to work with at this point in time. He's waiting for help, and that may come in the form of, I want to say that's Trevor McManus behind him, but no, he's going to split it 3 wide between
Jake's
him and
gonna come
Tyler
out.
Justice.
Jake's going to come out and give Jake a push. There it is. So that's very clever at the
Robert
moment
Barber.
for Jake to jump out. Go ahead.
Robert Barber jumps to the outside. Jake Ellingson's still there on the bottom in that gray and blue machine, but now we got 3 wide there between Robert Barber and another driver, Trevor McManus. They make contact. Trouble. Robert Barber into the fence. Big wreck here. Wow. Wow, Robert Barber, the first driver to make a move, gets up in front of McManus, can't hold it off of 2, gets 3 wide, throws a hard block. I'm going to have to see how this actually ended for that Flow Racing number 57, but if we can maybe zoom in a little bit. Yeah, they're 3 wide here. Barber comes down, hits Tyler Justice, and then gets brought back up into the track. Would have been 4 wide here. Looks like Tanner Bethea was going to go below the red line to make a pass there. I don't know if that's legal or not in this league. I know it's not legal in Nazareth, but yeah, right on board Barber. He's going to be pushed 3 wide here. You can see in his mirror, he's got one to the outside, one to the inside. They make contact. Boom. Yeah, I think Tanner was going to the red line to avoid the wrecks. He saw it already in motion. So I don't think he was trying to do anything.
There you have it. So they just took their pit stops, but Trevor goes in and Chris goes in. Remember those
Trevor's
leaders
got
did not
damage. He
box.
doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, but Patrick.
Yeah, they can probably make it to the end.
So that's fuel saving course under caution, but that means that everybody else has stayed out. Now the only driver at the moment that's made that pit stop is Brennan Evans. He took that pit stop back earlier. So Brandon D. Evans, to be correct at the moment for the 39 machine, he has the freshest boots in town. And not the only one. Jason Taylor, of course, behind him. And a little bit further back, Daniel in P11. So will that make a huge difference of 6 laps to go? That's a lot of places to gather. I mean, you probably gain 1 or 2 at best, right? But hey, taking it to Patrick leading this race. I don't know. Your thoughts out there in the chat.
Yeah, I think also, Dean, you mentioned 6 laps to go, but by the time we go green, probably 3 laps or even only 2 laps to go in this race in the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. So as they continue cleanup as well as allowing other drivers to pit here in
I think Jamie needs to
Atlanta.
make a run at Patrick here because he has to know that Eddie, that's been pushing Patrick the whole way through this race. Remember, Eddie never made it a challenge for the lead of the race. He just pushed Patrick the whole way, and now Jamie's in the mix. I think Jamie needs to make a huge run here. It's so difficult, isn't it, on a race restart to catch the leader, and then by the time you do catch the leader, that's 2 laps already gone. So you're down to what, 3 and change at best. So you got to be thinking sharp and quick here.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is we're going to see Patrick Drabick when it comes to choosing which lane he wants. I think we'll see him take the inside lane. Oh no, he takes the outside lane. Lights are off on the pace car. We will go back green flag racing here in 1 lap's time. Field's going to get set. Patrick Drabick takes the outside lane. I think he's going to try and get a jump. I think he's teammates with both Jamie Barkas and Eddie Smith because they've all been working together. They didn't try and pass each other. So I think we're going to see Patrick Drabick try to get a jump, get down in front of Barkas, and have those 3 of them push each other.
Keep an eye out for George Jewell, of course, and Jake at the moment in the background there with the fan club in the background. I'll tell you what, the fan club can give you a little bit of a boost with 5 laps to go. My dear friend there, Tyler, I know you'll be on the road again soon. But these drivers only have 5 laps of a road to get the checkered flag.
Yeah, 4 laps to go when they go green. 6 miles remaining here at Atlanta Motor Speedway to settle this one, the Cruising Classics Next Gen Cup Series. Row number 1, Patrick Drabick and Jamie Barkas. Row number 2, Eddie Smith and George Jewell. Row 3, Jake Ellingson and Tanner Bethea. Row 4 will be Tyler Justice with Jason Taylor. Row number 5, Brandon Evans and Joe Hobbs, as we will have 4 laps to go when they go green. Gentlemen, pull those belts tight one more time. We got to settle this one here in hot Atlanta. Patrick Drabick, the control car in that 07 Jam Printing and Promotions car. He's looking forward to getting on the gas here as soon as he can, and the Geico restart zone. The field ready to roar. They're waiting.
Oh, they're bunching
Patrick's
up
on the
quite
green
well.
flag. Good jump for Patrick, but Jamie Barkas got a good run as well, but Patrick's able to get down. 4 laps remaining here in Atlanta. Green flags in the air.
Yes, he got a good launch, actually. Jamie got a fantastic launch because usually the leader gets that green a little bit earlier. So it's up to Jamie, it's up to Eddie. They're all going to follow on the inside line there. Nobody going to gamble on the outside because you need a little bit of a push come to shove. Now getting a push come to shove the outside line there.
Yeah, Brandon Evans is pushing. I want to say, who is that? Is that George Jewell? Yes, it is
Yes,
George Jewell. Those 2 working together on the outside. They're up to Jake Ellingson. Ellingson all over the back bumper of Eddie Smith in 3rd position there. Outside lane has 4 cars now. They need to work together if they want a shot at it. Eddie Smith's looking at jumping up in front. 3 laps to go here at Atlanta.
They need more pushing. They need everybody to back them up right now. They need push. Yeah, sharing is caring, as they say, but when it comes to the white flag, the checkered flag, of course, Patrick has got Jamie. Jamie has to make a run right now, but where can Jamie go? If he goes to the outside line, he's got nobody, because I don't know Eddie's going to push him. Here we go. It's getting tight and twisty, and it's going to be fun at the moment. Patrick leading over to you, my dear friend Tyler. Tyler, I need you right now.
Laps remaining here.
Go ahead.
We're having a little bit of an internet issue here. 2 laps
Tyler,
remaining here at Atlanta. These drivers coming down to the end of it. Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkas all here late.
Oh, Tyler's internet's cutting in and out at the moment. I think the internet cannot handle this race. Patrick in the lead there. Jamie, P2, and Eddie Smith. And look at the battle of the Jake and the Jills in the background. It's the final lap of this race there. Are you back there? I hope your internet's all sorted out there, Tyler.
Oh, yeah, hopefully, a little bit of an issue there for a little bit, but now Patrick Drabeck leading the way over Jamie Barkas. Maybe the internet's cut back out again here. 3 and 4 for the final time.
You keep going there. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, Patrick Drabeck here leads it through there. Jamie get to him. Patrick Drabeck will lead the field to the line and win here at Atlanta. That 07 Jam Printing Promotions at home here at Atlanta.
Woo! Patrick, get done there. Just as we, you know how exciting this race was? It murdered your internet there, Tyler. But it didn't murder Patrick's rampage run for the 07 machine. He's led most of those laps. Got it done over Jamie. Couldn't quite get it done at the end there, and at least he got ahead of Jake in that P4 position out there, Ray. You should be very much happy on that one. Jake got the job done there. Brandon Evans, George Jewell at the moment there as well. So Georgie got the job done. He's lost a couple of places, but hey, points are points. But this man doesn't care about points. He cares about burnouts. The man from Indianapolis is like, you want a racetrack? Well, I'll give you Indy, but for right now, I've conquered Atlanta. And I think I've overwhelmed Tyler on that one. Tyler, do you have a copy? Oh dear. We have a commentator down. Does anybody want to call the Goat Lockup Racing League NASRA network there and see if we can get some medical stuff up here at the moment? We got a dingo that's chewed his internet cable. But what we don't have, of course, Patrick doesn't care. The Jam Printings and Promotions 07 machine is done and delivered this one, and Patrick has held most of those laps the whole time. And those tires are non-refundable, my friend. The man from Indy. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Fortunately, Wyoming Wi-Fi, I guess, only can last about an hour before it gives up on you.
In the United States of America. I'm surprised you're not in Antarctica or even in the United States of America. But anyway, over to you, my friend.
No, and I was able to see the bits and pieces there, but it kind of just looks like the run just never materialized from the pack. And it may have been because you had teammates working together at the end, but looking at our final results, Patrick Drabeck, Jamie Barkas, Eddie Smith, Jake Ellingson, Brandon Evans rebounds for a top 5. That's your top 5 here tonight. Finishing out your top 10, George Jewell, Daniel Cunningham, Jason Taylor, your pole sitter, Trevor McManus, and Tanner Bethea. As you see, Chris Sawyer, Tyler Justice, Joe Hobbs, John Anthony, Robert Barber, rounding out all the cars on lap. A couple cars finishing laps down. That's Alan Marshall, Bobby Germain, and Jason Kraft. They all finished in single digits laps down. Rest of the field, you can see your screen finishing multiple laps down due to incidents or whatever may happen.
Yeah, Dougie, unfortunately, out there. Sorry, Ray. But she's the one. Dougie finished in P21 there. And Round, of course, is Round. I think Randy even got a lap in. So there it is, 100 laps down. No, Randy did not. But perhaps he could have been part of the fantastic team that we have here at the Goat Locker Racing League. We will definitely have to be back to talk to the champions, the heroes, the gladiators, and the legends of this race. So do not go anywhere. Please support our sponsors. They're lovely. And of course, if you want a racing setup, my friend, well, what's the best setup for your racing car? Right here, right now.
Are you ready?
For Murph's Magical Creations. Home to custom laser engraving and gifts. This veteran-owned and operated company engraves for all occasions. If you want one of Murph's magical creations, call the number on your screen or commission through either Instagram or via email. Murph's Magical Creations. Made with love.
And we're live back here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, with your top three for your post-race interviews here. First, joined by the winner, Patrick Drabick. Patrick, after the first 20 or so laps were dominated by Jason Taylor, he makes a move to follow a lap car. You and Eddie Smith get through. You two pretty much control the rest of the race. Jamie Barkis, you got back in the lead pack after the first caution flag, kind of allowed you to close the gap. Kind of just talk us through, Patrick, though, how that race went for you.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. Obviously it's new Atlanta, so it's a lot of drafting and being able to rely on the guy behind you pushing. And quite honestly, tonight's race was a lot more tame than I thought it was going to be. It seemed we got in a single file line and everybody kind of followed along. And then we had the front pack break away from a second pack. And then even when we all got caught up together, it just seemed like everybody kind of got down in that bottom line and kind of followed along. So it was a whole lot of fun. I appreciate everybody that was around me and all that other stuff. And a big shout out to my teammate, Jamie Barkis, for pushing me there to the lead. But yeah, a lot more tame than I thought it was going to be.
Were you surprised at the lack of attempts by drivers from fourth and fifth on back to make charge to the front? We saw one charge by Tyler Justice, but he was back in seventh and eighth when he made his charge forward. But were you surprised to see the likes of Jake Ellingson and George Jewell kind of just sit in line for the most part, especially when those runs were happening?
I think a couple guys tried to form an outside line and it would just kind of fizzle out. And I think a lot of guys saw that and then just kind of stayed tucked into line. And then, those last couple restarts there, it was kind of easy to get away a little bit. So to try to build the runs and everything. But yeah, I'm damn sure surprised with, that second line didn't develop a little bit more and there wasn't a little bit more side by side racing.
Yeah, and I think maybe the small fields may have played a factor in that, not getting enough cars to build up enough momentum in the outside lane. We saw only 11 cars break away from the first pack a couple times. We even saw on the late restarts, it would be a group of about 7 or 8 cars would kind of break away a little bit to start. Is that just a product of the package, or is that maybe just because sometimes the drivers are too busy racing each other that they forget that they kind of need to maintain a little bit more organization to not lose the draft ahead of them?
Yeah, you'll see that a lot of times at some of these plate tracks where guys just get racing each other and not really paying attention about, hey, it's better if we just get in line so we can catch this other pack or so we can stay in this lead draft or whatever the case may be. So, a lot of people, it's a love-hate relationship when it comes to drafting tracks and plate racing. I love it to death. I think there's a lot of thinking that goes into it and a lot of decision making and things like that. And the guys that are really good at it understand that. And you see those guys towards the front every race.
Yeah, well, just a great performance from you tonight. Able to control the lanes. Kind of felt like you were maybe the Pied Piper here of Atlanta Motor Speedway, obviously having some familiar faces behind you. But before I let you go, Patrick, is there anyone you'd like?
Well, you're damn right. There's lots of people I'd like to thank. One, you guys put on an outstanding show each and every week, and I can't thank you guys enough for coming on board and helping us out and broadcasting these races and highlighting all our great sponsors. Of course, Crusin Classics, there in Columbus, Ohio, the title sponsor here on Wednesday nights, been with us for years. Jam printing and promotions on the side of the car, brand new paint scheme this week. Love it to death. Love we got it in Victory Lane, so that's awesome. Veterans for Life Foundation, again, a lot of love for them. They're doing a lot here within Goat Locker Racing. A lot of big news and announcements coming here shortly. Redbeard Designs, Premier Racing Setups, V-Speed Racing Network that does everything for us on Tuesdays. Podium, and then Above the Yellow Line. Taylor Kitchen and what she's doing at Above the Yellow Line is awesome. If you guys have not checked her out, gone and seen her, follow her on Twitter, Twitch, all the stuff. She does a lot of really, really cool things. She's a big fan of us here at Goat Locker Racing. So Taylor, I hope you're tuned in. Amber, I hope you tuned in because we got this Jam Printing and Promotions 07 in Victory Lane.
Yeah, and again, huge. I saw that she had partnered with y'all at Go Locker Racing. I do follow her social media account. She puts out some great content. Hopefully, maybe we see her behind the wheel of an iRacing machine. I know she started putting out some NASCAR heat content. But again, congratulations on your win tonight, Patrick. You just absolutely controlled the flow of the race there at the second half of it. Really, after the final 3 quarters of it, after you got by Jason Taylor. So we appreciate your time talking with us here tonight.
I have a
Appreciate
quick
it.
question. Hey, I'm cutting it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Patrick, you ain't getting away that easy, my dear friend. You were getting pushed by Eddie Smith for majority of the race there. Were you working together as either not teammates or teammates? But how was that panning out until Jamie spoiled the party?
Well, unbeknownst to a lot of people, Eddie really has a man crush on me, and so he'll do anything to be around me, to help me, to all those types of things. So really, it's kind of a little puppy dog relationship that we have.
Oh.
So I just kind of let him tag along there a little bit and have some fun.
Oh, we'll hear from him in a little bit as you're doing.
Oh yeah, we will.
Now. It's all
Oh,
right.
I'll pay for those comments. I'm 100% sure of that.
Patrick, you are the winner, my dear friend. Hey, the one you want to win, of course, is Indy, but from Indianapolis
Yes, sir.
yourself. But there you go. You got Atlanta, my friend. Put that trophy on your wall.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, boys.
Thank you again to our race winner, Patrick Draven, for talking with us. Now we're going to move on to our second place finisher. That's Jamie Barks, that 15 machine. Jamie, I mentioned in pre-race, really a very short pre-race, right before we went green, Dean asked me who I thought to keep an eye on. I said you just felt like this was kind of a race you would enjoy, although you won at Vegas earlier in the season. Come out here tonight, you perform well, but you lost the draft of the lead pack early on. Kind of explain what happened there with that front group getting away.
Early
You
in
were
the
kind of
race.
like the leader of the second pack.
Yeah, early in the race, right there at the start, had a car that, I don't know what happened with them, but they slid up the track, going into 3 there, doored me pretty good, and that just broke it up, and we lost that lead draft because of that. And I guess I don't know what everybody else was doing in that second line, but clearly we weren't really in line because we just kept losing time lap after lap on the leaders. Even when they were getting side by side up in the front pack, we weren't able to do anything with them. So if it hadn't been for that caution, this race would have probably ended totally different for me.
Yeah, you mentioned that first caution kind of gave you a new life. You were able to rejoin the second pack there. Kind of rode around in the middle of the back end of it, and then you found your way up to fourth and then third, and then on that last second to last restart, you had a great jump with the winner Patrick there. The two of you get clear of the inside lane. Was that maybe working together, or was that just you kind of saw him get on the gas a little bit more effectively than Eddie did, and we're like, all right, I'm going to take advantage of this and try to get down?
No, the GLR cars are always going to work together. That's why me and Jake stayed together as long as we did. We had the opportunity when I was in fourth place on that one restart where Pat chose to take the outside, which was going to put me in line with him. And, that's what allowed me to get past Eddie and get behind him and make sure we push Pat to the win. We need to get Pat that win to get locked into the playoffs. Not that he wouldn't make it without it, but you don't want to take any chances. So I've got my win. We got his win now. I guess now we need to get Jake a win here at some point.
Mentioned we got only 4 weeks remaining the rest of the way. One's the short track at Bristol, and then we have the challenges of Michigan, Pocono, and Kansas to round out the season. Is there any of the track coming up on the schedule that you're like, all right, I feel like this is our best shot at getting Jake a win? And is there any tracks remaining on the regular season schedule you're like, this is my best shot at getting a second win?
Well, unfortunately, that best shot would probably be next week at Bristol, and I'm going to have to be out again. Had a lot of travel here for work recently, so I've been out for the last 2 weeks, just making the one laps to get the credit for participation. So I hate that I'm gonna have to miss Bristol again, but I think as far as getting Jake a win, I think best shot for him is probably gonna be Kansas. He's really good there, so I fully expect that we're gonna get him a win there before the season's over. Well, before we get to the playoffs, I should say, not before the season's over.
And Jamie, it's Dean here at the moment, my friend. Don't you worry about it. I'll call Brady and we'll get that private Nazareth helicopter to pick you up there and we'll get you to the track, all right? So don't worry about it, my friend. Then again,
right.
Appreciation. Obviously, we all have real jobs. You have a real job, but it'll be unfortunate to see you. But we will see you, obviously, in the remaining rounds.
Yeah, that should be the last. Well, no, it's not going to be the last race I miss, but we got our 2 drop races, and fortunately, I have been in a position where I can do the whole mouse and keyboard thing and make my 1 green flag lap and call it a night. So I'm sure you guys have probably been wondering what I've been doing the last couple weeks, why I've been finishing last and stuff. But that's pretty much it. Sitting in hotel rooms, making my participation
Don't
lap.
talk to this man, the casting booth about that one, but Jamie. Really? Another one in the
I'm
hotel
done with
rooms? What's
hotel
going
rooms.
Mhm.
We all travel for work there, producer and co-host Dean. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight, Jamie. You're one of my pre-race picks. You still ran well, seconds, nothing too bad. But before I let you go, and give this opportunity for you to thank anyone you'd like.
First, thank you guys so much for what you do with NASDAQ 360. It's one of my favorite things to do. I watch Eddie on Wednesday mornings, and I get to watch you guys on Thursday mornings when I watch this broadcast back. Makes my day go by a lot faster, so appreciate that. Got to thank Cruising Classics, Jam Pring Promotions, Veterans for Life Foundation, Right Now Roofing, Redbeard Design Company. Guess I should have probably said a little more about Cruising Classics since they are on my car, but I'm glad we were able to get a top 3 for them tonight and get to talk to you guys because of that. And I also got to give that shout out to Taylor Kitchen and Above the Yellow Line. She's got a pretty big guest on for tomorrow night, so you guys make sure you check her out there on YouTube. I'm not sure what Pat was talking about with Twitch, but she's definitely on YouTube there. So check her out and yeah, help support her because she's a big supporter of us. So we appreciate it.
We appreciate you taking the time with us tonight, Jamie. Talk with us here in post race. Again, congrats on the second place finish. And we're going to move on to the third place finisher. That's Mr. Eddie Smith from VSR. And Eddie, you ran pretty much behind Patrick most of the race all night long. Late race restart, you kind of get passed there by Jamie. He takes over the second position. And the 3 of you kind of just ride nose to tail the rest of the way. Any thoughts on the comments, though, from Patrick in post race?
Well, look, these guys, they love to talk about themselves. If you didn't stop them, they would just talk about themselves the whole time. And honestly, there at the end, they needed all 3 of them to make sure that I didn't win that race because I was riding, trying to make sure I held track position. And luckily, it all worked out. They got the cautions when they needed them, and they were up there able to kind of team up 3-on-1. And at a plate race, 3-on-1, you really can't do anything. So I had to just ride behind them and take it. But, hey, it's a plate race. I'm going to let them have it, let them enjoy this and move on to the next one.
Eddie, I'm hearing excuses, my friend. Okay, this is a real interview for the NRR Power post-race interviews, my friend. There is no in here at the moment. There's not Jacob's beef broadcasting or podcasting at the moment for the redneck announcer. Eddie, you had an opportunity. You're following Patrick the whole race, my friend. And then Jamie slipped under your tailpipe and your front wheels and your hood, as you call it there in the United States. And then, Eddie, what happened, my friend? You had the race win. It's under your fingertips right there. Reach out and grab it. What happened?
Yeah, no, I was happy running where I was running. I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit there and say that me and I can't remember the 44. I think it was out front when Pat was pushing him, and I think all 3 of us were really controlling the race for the most part of that first run until the 44 got caught up with that lap car. But I was just trying to stay nose to tail with Patrick because I knew I could trust Pat to follow him. And I was content. We were pulled away. We made 2 packs. It was a lot of fun to do that. Kind of get separated where you didn't really feel like you were racing too many people, and the caution just fell the right way. And there at the end, there's just nothing I could do. They were going to get the restart on the outside and get Barkus up in front. And once Barkus got in front of me, I knew he wasn't going to move from Pat's bumper. So there's really no move to be made. If I go to the outside, I can yank Barkus off of Pat, but all I'm going to do is slow us both down, and Pat's just going to drive off. And Jacob was there on the bottom. He's going to fill that gap. So mostly the middle part of the race is just me trying to make sure that I didn't allow the top line to get up there. I had a really good spotter in Lucas Lyons who was letting me know when the top line would get to about the 4th car, and then I would start laying on Patrick's bumper because we were both trying to save fuel there. The fuel was kind of close, so was trying to lay on his bumper, push him out, and then once that top line dissipated back to about the 5th or 6th in line, we backed off, just kind of riding, trying to save gas. So there was a lot going on there. It was not just kind of riding, waiting. There was a lot we were trying to make happen to make sure we got to the end and just try to maintain track position. I didn't see anybody could make the top side work all night long, so and then there at the end, I was going to make a move if I was on Patrick Bumper coming off of 4, try to pull him back off of 4 and get the win. But when Jamie got in front of me and Jacob behind me, I knew that there would be no shot for me to make a move. So just had to settle for 3rd tonight, but I'll take it. I like it.
My last question to you, Eddie, of course, and a fantastic driver. You've had 4 positions gained for the 87 machine. About all that, exactly, you're right. You're talking about the last laps of the race, but what if you were to, earlier on there, challenge to Patrick when you were right up his tailpipe? Do you think if you made a move earlier, you could have then had that position in being in Patrick's position and then controlled and dominated the race towards the end?
Maybe, but I felt confident in myself to keep pushing Patrick. If I go to the outside and side draft him and we slow up both lines, it becomes a numbers game, right? We end up going from 4 potential winners to 10, 11, 12 potential winners if we yank that line back. So yeah, it'd been more exciting for the broadcast, I would imagine, but I'm trying to win the race and I'm trying to put myself in the best position. Unfortunately, I didn't have any teammates. I had a teammate in Daniel Cunningham that was quite a few ways back. He actually pitted. So yeah, to try to move out and take spots, all would have done was just brought all those folks back up towards the front, and it would have been really difficult. So my decision was to stay there, and it just so happened the caution came out there at the end, and whenever they got hooked up on the outside, there's nothing I could do. So I like my decision. I felt like I controlled a lot of the race there on the bottom. And I felt pretty good about it. It's the first time I've ever really felt like I did a good job of controlling a lane in a plate race, which is very, very rare for me.
Well, you mentioned how happy you were with the race as well, and very, very clean running. Only, I believe, 3 caution flags tonight from the drivers. Very impressive performance, and Eddie, we appreciate you taking the time here to talk with us here on the NES360 Racing Network and post race. Before we let you go, though, we'll give this time for you to thank sponsors and anyone who makes this happen.
Yeah, I tell you what, I love the Goat Locker guys. So, being there, pushing them to a win is just a lot of fun. I love that. Working with people that I like to work with, and so seeing them win is just it's awesome. So, and what they've done with this series, and it's not said enough. I mean, they thank a lot of their partners, but they don't thank themselves enough because honestly, they deserve a lot of credit for what goes on around here. They have invested a lot of money, time, and made a lot of sacrifices to make a league as strong as this, and people who want to come and race here, veterans who have a really awesome place to come and be. And then obviously giving out sim rigs to veterans, just incredible work. I mean, it's stuff that some of us just wish we could do. I mean, they're just doing a lot of work, and it come at a lot of sacrifice for them, a lot of stress. And I can't thank them enough for what kind of environment we have here. So definitely want to put them at the top tonight. But Crusin Classics, they've been around forever. They've sponsored so many of Goat Locker. They're big supporters, so definitely want to thank them. Jam Printing Promotions has been here since the beginning. I mean, I've not known Pat and not known Jam Printing Promotion. So definitely want to thank them. Veterans for Life Foundation, I mean, Jamie Perkins, working with him and that whole organization. I mean, it's just incredible what they do. Right Now Roofing, which is brand new, they sponsor the Xfinity Series. And I think that they had a big hand in helping get that sim rig to that veteran at Arrow McLaren. So definitely appreciate them. And the Red Beard Design, just amazing because they put some really awesome graphics out there. And I'm sure you guys know, in a broadcast situation, your brand, what you're trying to do, way it looks, all that stuff really matters when you're trying to put yourself out there. And Redbeard definitely brings the heat when it comes to that. And of course with y'all, I mean, y'all have been so awesome. The couple nights that y'all broadcast are just incredible. Y'all put on a great show. I'm really jealous of your broadcasting prowess. So I definitely appreciate y'all coming on board, putting on some good shows.
We appreciate you and all the kind words. Also, obviously, at the V Speed Racing Network, you broadcast, I believe, Tuesday nights. series. And man, I'm missing another night there as well, Eddie. But we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight, and really appreciate all your insight as well into the racing product and all your kind words. And again, congratulations on your top 3 tonight, and we look forward to see what you do next week at Bristol.
All right, thanks, fellas.
And that was your third place finisher, Eddie Smith. Tonight here at Atlanta for the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. Dean, it has been a fun one. It was competitive. But at the end of the day, Patrick Drabick held on and kind of dominated the second half of the race to get his win on the season, locking into the playoffs.
That he did. 2 positions gained for the 07 machine. Patrick Drebeck, so we know his name's always at the top of the timesheet all the time there. Jamie doing a fantastic job that you heard from. Eddie, of course. Don't give it to Jake at the moment. 7 positions gained. Just missed out on the podium there and got just shy of the bubbly stuff. But of course, he has Ray and all the other fantastic supporters out there. Brennan Evans as well, too. George Jewell as well, too. So we know that the Jewell family out there supporting him is giving good results there. Points are points, and races are won and lost. To see Barney in the top 10 is a great, great achievement, as it certainly is. As you can see, Patrick doing great burnouts here at Atlanta, and also great commentating again from you, Tyler, as not just commentating, but from racing experience as a race driver, because I have no idea what these gentlemen are doing. These gladiators, they're brave souls putting these machines around plenty of these tracks. And speaking of tracks, my dear friend, of course, where are we heading off next? Well, right there, my friend. Bristol
Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum there in Bristol, Tennessee. Should put on a great show next week. We go to Michigan, Pocono, and Kansas. But thank you all for tuning in tonight on the NASDAQ 360 Racing Networks, presenting the Cruising Classics Next Gen Series from Goat Locker Racing. We look forward to next week's product. Again, thank you all for just spending the evening with us, for all your fan support, for all your favorite drivers out there. You all are the reason we do this, and we love what we do up here in the booth. Until next time, wishing you all a safe night and a great week. Good night.